Good morning, Little Masters, and welcome to today's Tolkien Times. I'm the Man of the West, also from the Prancing Pony podcast. Thank you for joining me again as I go right back into that rich poetry found in Tolkien's epic poem, The Lay of Lúthien. Last week, we continued Canto 11 as Cúrifin and Celegorm fooled around and found out that the surest way to lose your dog is to attack the elvish prince he's devoted to. Today, we conclude Canto 11 as Lúthien heals Beren, only to have him leave her in Huan's care. Thereafter never hound was whelped would follow horn of Celegorm or Cúrifin, though in strife and storm, though all their house in ruin red went down. Thereafter laid his head Huan no more at that lord's feet, but followed Lúthien, brave and fleet. Now sank she weeping at the side of Beren, and sought to stem the tide of welling blood that flowed there fast. The raiment from his breast she cast, from shoulder plucked the arrow keen, his wound with tears she washed it clean. Then Huan came and bore a leaf of all the herbs of healing chief that evergreen and woodland glade there grew with broad and hoary blade. The powers of all grasses Huan knew, who wide did forest paths pursue. Therewith the smart he swift allayed, while Lúthien, murmuring in the shade the staunching song, what elvish wives long years had sung in those sad lives of war and weapons wove o'er him. The shadows fell from mountains grim. Then sprang about the darkened north the sickle of the Valar. Forth each star there stared in stony night, radiant, glistering, cold and white. But on the ground there is a glow, a spark of red that leaps below. Under woven boughs beside a fire of crackling wood and sputtering briar, there Beren lies in drowsing deep, walking and wandering in sleep. Watchful, bending o'er him wakes a maiden fair, his thirst she slakes. His brow caresses and softly croons a song more potent than in runes or leech's lore hath since been writ. Slowly the nightly watches flit. The misty morning crawleth gray from dusk to the reluctant day. Then Beren woke, and opened eyes, and rose, and said, "Neath other skies, in lands more awful and unknown, I wandered long, methought alone, to the deep shadow where the dead dwell. But ever a voice that I knew well, like bells, like viols, like harps, like birds, like music moving without words, called me through the night, enchanted, drew me back to light, healed the wound, assuaged the pain. Now are we come to mourn again. New journeys once more lead us on to perils whence may life be won. Hardly for Beren and for thee, awaiting in the wood I see, beneath the trees of Doriath, while ever follow down my path the echoes of this elvish song, where hills are haggard and roads are long. Nay, now no more we have for foe dark Morgoth only, but in woe, in wars and feuds of elveness thy quest is bound, and death no less for thee and me, for Huan bold, the end of weird of yore foretold. All this I bode shall follow swift if thou go on. Thy hand shall lift and lay in Thingol's lap the dire and flaming jewel, Feanor's fire, never, never. Ah, why then go? Why turn we not from fear and woe beneath the trees to walk and roam, roofless with all the world as home, over mountains, beside the seas, in the sunlight, in the breeze? Thus long they spoke with heavy hearts, and yet not all her elvish arts, nor lissome arms, nor shining eyes as tremulous stars in rainy skies, nor tender lips, enchanted voice, his purpose bent or swayed his choice. Never to Doriath would he fare, save guarded fast to leave her there. Never to Nargothrond would go with her, lest there came war and woe. And never would in the world untrod to wander, suffer her, worn, unshod, roofless and restless, whom he drew with love from the hidden realms she knew. For Morgoth's power is now awake, already hill and dale doth shake. The hunt is up, the prey is wild, a maiden lost, an elven child. Now orcs and phantoms prowl and peer from tree to tree, and fill with fear each shade and hollow. Thee they seek, At thought thereof my hope grows weak, my heart is chilled. I curse mine oath, I curse the fate that joined us both, and snared thy feet in my sad doom of flight and wandering in the gloom. Now let us haste, and ere the day be fallen, take our swiftest way, till o'er the marches of thy land, beneath the beech and oak we stand, in Doriath, fair Doriath, whither no evil finds the path, powerless to pass the listening leaves that linger on those forest eaves. Then to his will she seeming bent, swiftly to Doriath they went, and crossed its borders. There they stayed, resting in deep and mossy glade. There lay they sheltered from the wind under mighty beeches silken skinned, and sang of love that still shall be, though earth be foundered under sea, that sundered here for evermore shall meet upon the western shore. One morning, as asleep she lay upon the moss, as though the day too bitter were for gentle flower to open in a sunless hour, Beren arose and kissed her hair, and wept, and softly left her there. Good Huon, said he, guard her well. In leafless field no asphodel, in thorny thicket never a rose forlorn so frail and fragrant blows. Guard her from wind and frost, and hide from hands that seize and cast aside. Keep her from wandering and woe, for pride and fate now make me go. The horse he took and rode away, nor dared to turn. But all that day, with heart as stone, he hastened forth, and took the paths toward the north. Well, first we see that Huon's departure is not only permanent, it's also somehow tarnished Celegorm and Cúrifin, who never have another dog again. Good boy. And then we get a close look at Lúthien's healing power here. She sought to stem the tide of welling blood that flowed there fast, so she's looking to control and stop the bleeding. She takes off his shirt, she removes his shirt and then the arrow point first. And then we read that she washes his wound clean with tears. Now, I suppose if you don't have disinfectant, this could work, especially if you're an elf maiden who's actually half Maya. But then we get the moment where Huon brings a leaf. Well, guess what? In a note on this line, Christopher Tolkien says, against this line, my father wrote in the margin, the word Athelas. Yep, that's right. And using that plant, the smart he swift allayed. That is, quickly relieved the pain, when something smarts. Next, Lúthien literally sings a staunching song, a song intended to stop the bleeding. And interestingly, we're told it's not specific to her. It's not even specific to her mother, Melian the Maya. Instead, it's something that elvish wives have sung for a long time. So it's big tradition. Later on, she puts him by a fire, keeping him warm while he sleeps. This is just great first aid, really. I mean, it's necessary for an injury that has caused blood loss and shock. She also keeps him hydrated. His thirst she slakes. But then she sings another song, and it's a song that has more power than anything that's been written in medical lore, right? More potent than in runes or leeches lore hath since been writ. This is where we get a glimpse that her healing powers are more than just the songs that elvish wives long years had sung in those sad lives of war. And that really reminds me of the connection of Aragorn and the idea that the hands of the king are the hands of a healer. Because, of course, all the Gondorian kings would be descended from Lúthien. And folks, that's it for today's First Stage Friday. But we will come back to this sometime soon. I still don't know exactly what I'll be doing for Fridays in Series 9. Hopefully Fandom Fridays, but we'll see. Speaking of Series 9, one more time to remind you about the TTT release schedule over these next several weeks. Tomorrow, November 30th, marks the end of the current 8-week series. The show will enter its usual 2-week hiatus. Then I come back the week of December 16th to the 21st with a special holiday week of episodes on Letters from Father Christmas. After that, I'll take my actual time off for the weeks of Christmas and New Year's, starting Series 9 on January 6th. And since I may be returning to Fandom Fridays, be sure to let me know if you know anybody who should join me here for a future Fandom Friday. Just email barliman@theprancingponypodcast.com. And please visit patreon.com/TolkienTimes to learn how you can support the show, get an ad-free feed, a monthly hangout with me, bonus weekly episode, and more. And join me again tomorrow on today's Tolkien Times as we wrap up this week and Series 8 with Silmarillion Saturday. If you're watching this on YouTube, please like, subscribe, turn on notifications, follow or subscribe in your podcast apps, and follow @Tolkien Times on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. Finally, as Faramir says, go with the goodwill of all good men.